So I got nothing better to do. Unfortunately, one of my monitors is going bye-bye because for some reason it's not working. I posted a YouTube short, so if anyone can help, it's on the YouTube short. But I'm bored, so we're just gonna react to a bunch of random stuff. Yeah, let's do it. All right, let's get into it. I haven't seen much of this movie at all. Wish I don't care to watch it. I don't care at all for Disney movies anymore. But we're gonna sit through and watch why she is a bad character. I've heard a bunch of junk about her, but I want to do a video about it, so why not? And yeah, I know the movie came out months ago. I don't care. We're still doing a review.
Talking Disney, I spend the most time talking about what failed the most, mainly for the obvious reason of views, but also for the fact of what is going wrong within the company. And that main arc that I'm still on, of course at this time, is the fact of their latest film in Wish being the biggest disappointment there is, where I've talked about it broadly
Okay,
within the
I wouldn't call Wish a disappointment, mostly because I had the lowest expectations for any Disney movie coming out now. After Endgame, it all went downhill. So any movie that comes out that's made from Disney or Pixar, I put my expectations low. Very low. So I wouldn't call this a disappointment, more like it's something that I expected.
problem of their newer villains and quirky heroes, and especially the main hero being Asha herself, because no other Disney character can express such disappointment other than what she has brought during the entire course of her own development. Because as I've brought up many times before in the past, she is the amalgamation of these recent modern Disney characters put into one in order for the film to be a part of the celebration of 100 years. Or sadly for some reason, it's just the point of where
Yeah.
the film is just a
I
baffling source
guess
of other
I
confusion.
guess it can be a pretty big disappointment if it's your 100th year anniversary. If it was a 100-year anniversary and I had a studio, bro, I'd make that movie, that 100 movie, or not 100 movie, but a 100th anniversary movie, the biggest banger the world has ever seen. And yeah, I get why people are disappointed.
Confusion for Disney fans, or audiences in general who expected much more near the tail end of 2023, as I posted this video to really cap that part off. Because when you look
Alright.
at this film from a story perspective, and including the typical hero's journey in that, which most Disney characters go throughout, this is just really bad, to the point where she is a terrible character in that regard as well. Because compared to that very past, there's just virtually
I have no
nothing
idea.
important that she goes on throughout at all, other than the fact that we have to get our grandfather's wish granted for his 100th birthday. Like if you remember the opening, it begins similar to past Disney fairy tales, and
Now, I heard that they messed up on the villain as well, obviously. Hold on.
for his 100th birthday. Like if you remember the opening, it begins similar to
I heard that they messed up on this guy, the villain as well. I heard that he could have been a really good character, but they just screwed him up so bad. I'll do another video on him later, but for now we're focusing on this Tangled wannabe.
past Disney fairy tales and opens up with her narrating how the Kingdom of Rosas came to be, Magnifico's history up until the point where you know it's her Sapa's birthday. Now the problem with this comes from the other fact that is introduced later in the film, which is the fact of her father, who she mentioned a little bit later to Magnifico when they actually first met. Because other than that, and the song itself in This Wish, he really isn't relevant to the entire story despite being a heavy influence on Asha's development. How the lyrics in the song are also inspired by his own words he said to her when she was young, where he's also seen in that area for 2 seconds before he disappears. We're
Oof.
going back to that
L
beginning
plus
again.
ratio.
It just seems like it jumps all of that development in such a short amount of time in between to get her to that point where she wants to become the king's apprentice and finally grant her Sapa's wish. We just get thrusted into this world after a quick burst of facts where we now are here in this story, and that's virtually it. Which can also be seen for Magnifico too in the film, when he uses the big book a little bit later that he's not supposed to use that turns him evil by using the green powers, having plot points that are there but are not really used effectively at all. And the reason why this part is bad in the beginning is because of the fact we don't learn anything about her other than what she is in the present moment.
Yeah, I heard that they were just kind of like threw this thing together. Another thing I also heard is that they kind of like made this movie using AI. I don't know if that's true. That's just something that I heard, that they wouldn't be surprised that they used Chat GPT to write this movie. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. That's how bad it takes. It takes actual skill to write a movie that did worse than The Flash, from what I heard. That takes talent. Let's continue.
compared to most Disney stories that have backgrounds for their main characters that we see in the beginning or are developed in the story as we actually get to know them. Such as recently, like in Encanto, it starts with Mirabel getting the rundown for the family magical and then learning more about her as the story progresses and
Okay, but
what she
that movie
brings
was
with no
actually good.
gift. Something that is relevant to this story by how
Kind of
Welcome to
heat.
Roses does serve as that counterpart as the trashier version of that song, but also just does nothing to give us clues about who these people are compared to the former as we just mentioned. Instead, to make up for that, Asha is given the typical quirky, adorable traits you expect modern Disney females to have, to try and actually give her some personality to go off on, just expecting to throw you the same tropes the
Yeah,
modern
the quirkiness from what I heard started with Tangled, and it should have ended with Tangled, and it just continued on there, on Frozen, and Moana, others. So it just yoddled its way into all these new movies because they saw Tangled did pretty good, and then they're like, hey, why don't we do this for everything else?
favorites already have, so you can agree with that and nothing more. Which in fact just does nothing for her in that favor as a hero, or as a character for that matter, when we still just know nothing except for the fact
If my eyes are up here, I have my monitor raised, so that's a sorry about that. I just want to mention that.
that we have to root for her because of the fact that the king is a bad guy who only grants wishes he deems are good for Rosas, which is also not explained quite well either. Because going back to the point I just brought
Yeah,
up
I
earlier
want
with
to
her
hear more
father,
on that.
seemed
I
like
want to
something
hear
that was
more on
designed
that.
in one draft of the story that got cut out in favor of the more referential material that Disney wanted to provide. It seemed like, by what we see in the movie, that he was probably going to be given a larger role in the beginning to give that backstory that Asha told us about Rosas and the tree that we see later on. Because there is no reason that he should have one name job to be mentioned or
Oh
just
my
a 2-second
goodness.
flashback
Mwah.
without something that was supposed to be intended for that very story. A story that could have actually given motivation and reason for Asha for where she is now, enough to actually warrant becoming the king's new apprentice to keep these wishes safe compared to what she learned later. Just a reason why she's actually aiming for this point that her friends are supporting in the beginning of the film. Not something that was just there for the sake of being there, because then on you just don't know what you're supposed to even root for at that point. All you really need to know at
One
that
thing I will say is that I heard from a lot of people that the king was such a bad villain that they accidentally made him look like a good guy. Um, and then what ended up happening was they only put the green book in the movie because they needed a villain. He seemed like a good person to make a villain. He didn't seem like a villain at first because if you think about it, the intentions of it sound good at the beginning. Let me close my door. Sorry. Yoink. His intentions sound good at the beginning, and then they need to make a villain somehow, so they just use him, make him evil, and then yada 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 stuff like that. So I don't know how. I haven't watched, like I said, I haven't watched the movie, so that's why I'm hearing these bunch of reviews, and I don't care to watch the movie at all. Let's continue.
point is Magnifico is the bad guy, and everyone just needs to know that most of their wishes will never be granted because of that, or it's just thrusted upon Asha to reverse all of that so that everyone can have that chance. Something so simple that even kids who watch this will be confused in what they're trying to learn, because they aren't that stupid to be honest when it comes to these things, knowing that they can feel emotion or sense direction for where a story is developed or where it's going. All this simpleness in that story that we learned so far continues when we actually meet Star in that process. A character that also had more, where people found out that in earlier drafts it had become the love interest of Asha, becoming a star boy that can transform, which made that duet between our heroes.
What? Yo, hold up, hold the phone. Whoa, 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 whoa. Slow down for just hit those brakes. Hit those brakes. Release off the pedal. What the heck? Ain't no way that Star. Yo, guys, ain't no way that Star was supposed to be the love interest. Nah, fam.
The simpleness in that story that we learned so far continues when we actually meet Star in that process. A character that also had more, where people found out that in earlier drafts it had become the love interest.
What kind of Tinkerbell junk is this? Like seriously. What? He was supposed to be the love interest in the I want to point out that seeing the movie now, even though I haven't seen the movie, I only see clips of the movie, that seems so wrong in so many ways. Looking at it through a modern perspective where we just found out about this. But I get it. Disney needs their love interest. I'm actually kind of glad they didn't put him in there because they would have probably ruined his character so much because he's a a guy. So Yeah, no, they would have jacked this guy up so bad on so many different ways. It wouldn't have been funny, bro.
Of Asha, becoming a star boy that can transform, which made that duet between our hero and villain at all
Nah, just
costs
leave him
make
as a
more sense
Luma.
as a love song, discovering something that actually connects them more than we actually thought. Which again also contributes to the earlier plotline of Asha's late father and their own personal connection to how the stars guide us and what they actually play within the wishing star, where having that literally follow her would still actually serve as a meaning to connect her and her family together in that regard. But sadly, they just didn't do that and wanted to create a Luma to sell as a cute plushie.
Hey, Luma.
Like seriously, there were tons of them all over the place at Disneyland when I went, hence why I'm going to include my World of Color footage to try and sell that point. Like when you think about
Yeah,
that
no,
point,
I can
that
I
is
can definitely see why they would want to make him a like a Luma character rather than a actual dude, because Disney princesses and cute things, small things that you can hold in your hand. Oh shoot, my dog's trapped in my room. Hold on. Be free. Cute things make money. Doggies, kitties, this duck. Those things make money. And for them to make money, they gotta be what's the word? Popular. So of course they're gonna do that. I can see why they would do that.
is another minus for a character because it limits the amount of interactions they could have had other than the fact that it was a cute star that floats around in the sky. Sure, it's neat for the charm the story has, but it just doesn't contribute quite as much as you would like to if it was her star boy. Friend. Where of course, speaking of friends in that regard, her other friends just really serve no benefit to her in the story other than the reference to the 7 dwarfs, as they really have no character outside their initial traits, serving zero purpose until the final act of the story. Yes, you had Simon who betrayed them, but that really had no development either to lead us to that shocking decision. What his character served being in Asha's friend group, and how she actually knew each of them to begin with, where the only solution that could have been solved with this problem, with the film in its final state, was just to make the film longer to include such scenes in that context, because at this point, we are just rushing back and forth. Where in that regard, I also forgot to say regarding Star, was the fact that his story was actually built up as the origin of the wishing star, something that was alluded to in the song I'm a Star, where all the
Why am I yawning so much? Holy cow.
animals sing, but also provides us with zero explanation to why they are the way that they are. Like sure, everyone is made up of stardust as they sing, but that still doesn't actually provide me anything of how it came to be or how it was worked up to this.
I think I know why I'm yawning so much. Not the video itself, but the animation is so bad and like so many snores. I could watch the movie and probably be put to sleep like that. So at least they got one thing right, making it so boring to where you can pretty much put anybody to sleep. That sounds good.
Point. You can't just sing me a song and show me cool visuals unless I know what the context is truly about. Like I even forgot what this entire musical scene was until I actually looked up the lyrics about what this song was supposed to provide me in the context of the film, or Asha for that matter, to explain who Star is, which the song really doesn't do at all, leaving me with nothing about what this thing is or where it actually came from or why it's decided to help Asha all of a sudden. I mean, I know why, because of the fact of wishes and there is a wishing star, but I really just don't know much since there isn't a lot for me to go on. I also just realized in this part, I began talking about other characters that don't really have much to talk about because of the fact that Asha does not really have lots to talk about in this section either. Well, other than the fact that the king is chasing her does not really have lots to talk about in this section either. Well,
Bro looks like he's seen the 6th dimension. That doesn't look right.
other than the fact that the king is chasing her down and she needs to get the wishes back as the main source of conflict for her in this film. The plot just speeding up because it knows it needs to have this conflict where we still just don't know anything about her at this point in her background, including her own family who got thrusted in this situation without knowing much about them either. Like I know there are those scenes about their wishes and them sitting down and actually talking about what she's discovered, but that's basically it. That's all you can really say because they don't really have any memorable moments for them in this entire film. other than those one scenes that they're together. And that's a big problem, where the second half of
I'd
the
rather be
film just
lectured by my
glosses over or
parents
skips many
than
crucial
watch this
points
movie.
that are important to the
And that's saying
development of the
something.
character because of how half-baked it was to get to that point of the climax. This is scene where you could see them singing Knowing What I Know Now, when Queen Amaya also decides to join in and help them because she saw her husband use an evil book too, so now they just all have to work together to stop him and free all the wishes. But in that regard, this still has nothing for them because we weren't given that much time to go off on, including in Asha's own experiences with Magnifico that were just so brief but enough that it turns them all against him in this song because they were deemed traitors with a flick of a switch. Because now with that information, we have to go here and there to plan to actually release these wishes and stop him in the last act, where we just virtually lost all sense of what our character is at this point other than going face to face with the villain at the end of the film, who he overpowers them all until she starts singing, and so does the rest of the actual town who somehow knows the lyric.
Yeah, from what I've seen in clips and reviews and stuff, is that it's literally nothing for half of the movie, and then the movie's gonna start getting too long without nothing. So then automatically they just, like I said before, they just literally throw him in and say, "Oh, I'm evil now. Freaking get some." And he becomes evil and stuff like that. So then they have to sing the whole, "Oh, look at the me." It's just, from what I heard, it was so bad. But I don't care. I just want to finish this video.
Were the days one after that, where after that, her final prize is actually being deemed as the new fairy godmother who grants wishes even though the fact remained in the beginning that she wanted all wishes to be free and not under one's control. Basically, nothing important actually gained, where as a result, everything that we learned was all for nothing because nothing was really there for her in the first place. We never learned what she was like in the past, nor did we learn what she was going to be like in the future, other than the fact that she can grant wishes now and everyone can be happy. It is just the constant result of a bad failure that a company does not want to learn from, nor actually cared at all in that regard, thinking in terms of the most easiest and effective way to make a quick buck. Looking at documentaries like Into the Unknown, it's just clear that Disney is mismanaging their animation division and film divisions as a whole to compete with the constant deadlines for films they want to release within a season without any care for what story that actually can.
Never compete with Spider-Verse. That's it. Period. Spider-Verse, best movie ever. Don't care what you say. Spider-Verse changed everything. Changed it for the better, changed it for the worse. Don't care what you say. Don't care what your thoughts are. Spider-Verse was peak. And because it was peak, Disney got their feelings hurt and wanted to make something better. And then ended up making something worse. L plus ratio, in my opinion.
Come from it, because those in charge right now just really do not have any clue for what really brought them forth in the first place with their own collection of heroes who actually connect with us and develop alongside their journeys, where the fact still remains at this end that Asha really does not have such development at all, and will only be remembered as just another character who is in the film and nothing more. One who does have positive traits that people will love over the years.
Yeah, so from what I heard, that movie sucks. One thing my hat. Oh, all right, I got my hat back. Prestige as ever. All right. One thing I don't get is like, so he was controlling the wishes and everything was going perfectly fine for like how many years? This is what I heard. Like I said, I never watched the movie. I don't plan on to. But I heard that he was, from what I heard, he was controlling wishes, and then for a while he worked really hard to build up his kingdom. He was controlling wishes, and she wanted everyone to be free, so therefore she defeated him because he became evil, and then everyone has the freedom to make their own wishes, which in paper, on a note, that sounds good. Like, bad guy controls people, hero sets them free, people have freedom. That sounds okay when you first hear it on paper, but you gotta go into detail, man. So from what I heard was he spent hard work and a lot of time building up this kingdom, and the way he controlled the wishes was he would do it to where it would better the kingdom. Like wishes that would better the kingdom. He wouldn't just grant somebody's wish out of nowhere saying bada bing bada boom, you get a wish. So my question is, he was like the wish controller and making sure and nothing was happening from what I was seeing. Nothing was going wrong for the like first couple years or however many years from what I've heard. Nothing was happening, and then all of a sudden she came along. Her grandfather's wish was to influence the people. I might have to watch the movie. I'll probably watch it, do a review on it, and then try to see if I can erase it from my memory or just watch a bunch of reviews on it because I really don't want to watch the movie. Um, so yeah, no, and then she was cranky because her grandfather or her father or whatever did not get a wish granted to him, and then she went on this way to try to kick his butt because she didn't do that, and then yada yada yada, end of story. But like, what if someone's wish was bad? Like, what if they had a wish that ultimately their goal was to hurt people, and now you, because of you, you defeated the only guy who was able to control the wishes, and now because of you, there could be someone that could just wish something out of nowhere, and then they can be very evil. It does not make sense. And the only reason the king was became evil is because they needed a villain in there. What the heck? Oh crap, my chair's ripping up. That's not good. I just realized that. Well, it's aging anyways. I'm gonna still use it. But that was off topic. But yeah, no. From what I heard, the movie sucked cheese. Dog cheese. Alright, that's I'm gonna end it there. Nothing really else to talk to you about. I'll make another video shortly. Watch my shorts, like and subscribe. Bye.